are technically 5 miles east of Washington, D.C., and that's where you find this place, FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. But tonight we start Week 5 with a primetime matchup, as it'll be the Chicago Bears taking on the Washington Commanders.
Seems like we were just starting training camp, but here we are in October, and off we go on EA Sports.
Hey, Lion! Rig alert! Hey, kill!
Lawrence going to put it up right away. He'll get that out to the flat to White.
And this will be a gain of 5 as he gets it. Charles, Thursday night game, I think a lot of teams probably say shrink the playbook somewhat. Is that correct?
I think you're right about that because you just don't have the amount of time that you have in a normal week to put in a full playbook. So as you said, you shrink the playbook, pick out the plays that work best for you. You know what else you're looking for? Who are the freshest guys coming off the last game to play on a Thursday night? Guys have a little extra pep in their step. You go to them early and often.
You look at this Bears defense.
This unit coming into this one ranked number 20 against the pass in the NFL.
And it's really difficult to prepare for this team. This is the #1 overall passing team in the NFL. But it shouldn't be hard to get excited about playing against them. The ultimate test going against that unit.
And that's why you and I are excited to broadcast this game.
Yes, sir.
And he's going to have a Commander's first down, at least at first glance, as he'll spot the football just beyond the marker. They find a way to convert on 3rd and inches. Play action. It's Lawrence.
Pressure, and he's taken down. A Bear sack. That one will set him back nearly 10 yards here on first down on the sack. And they need to work to at least get some of this yardage back after the sack. 2nd and 19. A throw there, but that's going to wind up incomplete. Maybe a little over-anxious in the pocket there. He just didn't look comfortable on that throw.
No, he didn't, because it wasn't his normal fluid delivery. And I think you might have had it right. Wasn't really confident with what he saw downfield, and almost felt like he wanted to pull that one back.
Now on 3rd and long, they'll look to throw.
The pressure gets to Lawrence, and he'll go down. More than one defender there, and that's a loss of 5 on the sack.
Here's Thomas Morstead on now to punt it away on 4th down.
Here's Hardman to return.
And when it's said and done, it's a 58-yard punt. And the Bears take over.
Yellow. Where's it?
Now the 3rd-year man, Najee Harris.
And they'll wind up getting this to the 37. Gain of 9.
Well, this defense for the Commanders, they were quite formidable in the win over Philly a week ago.
And every defensive team that we talk to, they spend a lot of time talking about creating turnovers. And anytime you get 2 or more in a game, you've had a really good performance. They exceeded that number.
This is caught inside the 15. Touchdown, Chicago.
Christian Watson.
His 3rd touchdown now on the year.
And the Bears will claim the early lead as they're on the board first here tonight.
Tucker able to connect on the extra point, and it's now a 7-0 game. Tucker now to kick it away following the touchdown. And this will not be returnable. It's out of the back of the end zone for a touchback.
Washington offense at the line and ready to roll. They're riding a two-game winning streak into this Thursday nighter. How easy is it when you're on a roll to stay on a roll given the quick turnaround?
Well, you would think it'd be pretty easy because everyone's locked in practice and meetings because everyone feels good about themselves. And for coaches, this is where they have to tell themselves, don't add too much, don't worry about game plans as much as players. So look at your play sheet and think, give it to the guys who play best, and don't worry about the rest of it.
Hey, kill.
And they'll throw on first down with Lawrence. Can't get away, and he's taken down. Kenneth Murray able to record his 5th sack of the season.
That's 3 sacks now, and that's not much of a surprise to me, nor should it be to you. This team, they lead the league in sacks.
Yeah, they do. This is something that we are starting to witness time and time again.
Go.
Throwing on second and long. Lawrence under pressure, and they got to him again. Multiple defenders getting home there for a loss of 11. He continues, Charles, to be under constant pressure. These sacks are starting to pile up.
And if they want to have a realistic chance in this one, they've got to change their blocking assignments. They've got to do a better job to keep him upright. If he's going to be on the deck constantly, they've got no chance to win this game.
Go. Here we go.
Now on 3rd and forever, he'll look to throw. He finds his man complete. That's Bowers. They'll break the huddle here and go for it. This is 4th down. How about this? They'll change it at the line. Now before they run this 4th down play, we're going to get a timeout. They'll have 2 remaining as we step aside here in this first quarter. Fourth down. Here's Lawrence. And it's incomplete. They cannot convert, and they turn it over. A surprising move to go for it. Predictably, at least somewhat predictably, it doesn't pay off. And it'll be a turnover on downs. This is caught. It's Christian Watson. And he will reach the 8-yard line before going out. That one goes for 24 yards.
Well, as a coach, you absolutely love seeing your offense find their rhythm early, and that's exactly what we've seen so far. They had a touchdown on their opening drive, and now they connect here for another nice game for a first down. This offense is moving the ball well, exactly as he drew it up in practice.
And they'll get this from the 8 to the 5. Pick up a 3. And the ball smack dab on the 5-yard line. Here's 2nd and goal. That's caught left side by Hardman. Only able to pick up 2, and that leads us to 3rd and goal.
Yellow.
They fake the give. Now Mahomes. He rifles one, and that's going to be intercepted. Picked off by Quay Walker. Interception return for Commanders touchdown. An excellent play there, CD, on the pick 6. And I think were they a nickel? Did they have an extra DB out there?
Yeah, Brandon, I think they were in standard nickel, not the Buffalo, as teams like to call it, meaning 3 safeties for big nickel. They just wanted to take away the quarterback's throwing lanes, and that's exactly what they did, and came through with a big-time pick 6.
Extra point up and good by Shudak. These 2 teams all tied after 1. Second quarter now from our nation's capital, and it's Washington in possession of the football. As they've got it as we resume action. So all even at 7 now as they kick it away. And they will wrangle it down a couple yards shy of the 30. The Bears offense ready to go for their next drive. coming to this one off the loss over the weekend, but you say if you're going to play a Thursday night game, this is the week to do it.
It certainly is, because you get right back out there. You don't have time to dwell on things. And look, your game plan is going to be a little more limited, but so is theirs. So that's when you just appeal to your top players. Guys, you make plays in this one, we out-execute it, we could walk away with a win.
Again, it's Harris on second down.
And he'll work this one out to about the 38.
But the defense isn't going to adjust, and they keep giving them those 5, 6, 7-yard runs over and over. They're likely to run it the whole way to the end zone. They'll be more than happy to take the yardage available and save some of their other plays in the playbook for another time.
They go play fake. Mahomes. And that is incomplete.
I know we spend a lot of time talking about how the defensive backs read routes and make plays on the football. How about a good linebacker? Feeling the route, seeing the quarterback, jumps the play, and knocks it away. Really well done.
And in their own territory, needing only a few inches, they're going to line up to go for this thing on fourth down. Now the Bears going to call the first of their timeouts. They'll have 2 remaining as we step aside here in this second quarter. The offense here not budging. They're going to fight for it on 4th and inches. They're going for it. This is Harris. And, boy, that's going to be close. He didn't get much at all there, but he got the first. Looked like they might have held him defensively. But the referee signals it will be a first down. Play action. Now it's Mahomes. Over the middle, and there's a diving catch. From Commanders' territory now, it's 1st and 10 at the 43. Here's Mahomes to throw. He's going to launch this deep for Watson. And he knocks the ball away, and it falls incomplete.
They decided the opportunity was there and launched a deep ball, but he was unable to get away from the defender. Couldn't create space, couldn't uncover the end of the route, and that one winds up incomplete.
Yellow.
2nd and 10.
43.
They go play action. Now Mahomes. Well, the Commanders are going to get there as he's taken down. Going to need better protection here. 3rd and long following the sack from Mahomes and company. Oh, he tries to force it in, and it's intercepted. Picked up by Jalen Ramsey. And the Commanders are going to take over at their own 28-yard line.
11, Agate.
Now Lawrence on 1st down. Here's White. They set up the screen. And he's got some space here. And out of bounds on the other side of midfield at the 45. That'll be marked as a 27-yard pickup. 1st down, here's White. And he is met in his tracks behind the line of scrimmage. Officially, it's a 1-yard loss. That's going to bring up 2nd and 11. Moore, the man in motion. Now Lawrence to throw. And he's going to be swallowed up. Sacked back at the 45-yard line. They'll wind up losing a full 9 yards here on the sack. Now it's 3rd down. Well, Charles, this has been something to watch so far. This is where you really feel for a quarterback. He's been running for his life in this first half.
Brandon, that's 5 sacks already, so you know he's got to be saying, can we get some more guys in here to block, please? Because if we don't, we're going to need another quarterback.
Now Lawrence on 3rd and long. Trying to fit it into Moore, but it's intercepted. It's Chris Harris with a pick. And the Bears are in great shape here as they take over at their 46-yard line.
Yellow.
At the line, prepping for their next drive, the Bears offense. They start near midfield following the interception as they begin 1st and 10. Well, Mahomes can't get away, and down he goes. Chase Young in there to bury him for a loss of 11.
This offensive line has struggled. In fact, when we sat down with the coach, he said it's been in tatters lately. They allowed 6 sacks in their last game. Just gave up another one right there.
In tatters, so it sounds a little bit like this right now.
Exactly. It's like that paper being ripped. Right now, they've got to find a way to get it back together.
A good job defensively to hold that to 4 yards, and now it's 3rd down. Throwing now is Mahomes.
Able to find the open man. That's complete.
Touchdown, Chicago.
Mecole Hardman, his first touchdown on the year. And the Bears have taken the lead.
Tucker with the extra point, and that makes the score 14-7. Tucker now to kick it away following the touchdown.
Austin elects to bring this out of the end zone. And only able to get this to the 19, so probably should have opted for the touchback.
Hey, Lion.
Out there set and ready for this next drive, the Washington offense. So now, Charles, this drive maybe a touch more important, trying to erase the memory of that interception they had the last time out.
Yeah, and everyone goes through this because even after the game, you're going to have games where it just doesn't go right for you, and interceptions result. So, frankly, to me, it's all about how you respond, not just the types of plays that you call, but how you carry yourself, how you show your team that you're still with it, and how you continue to lead.
Throwing on first down, but this one winds up to be incomplete.
Well, the incompletion, yes, but maybe here not the worst thing in the world?
No, not on 1st and 10. It actually gives them a chance to regroup, relax just a little bit. They huddle up, talk it over. Then they get a chance to continue their drive.
11. 30 left.
Now Lawrence.
He finds his man, complete. That's Bowers. Now Washington going to use the second of their 3 timeouts as they'll talk it over here before what will be an important 3rd down.
All right, let's go. Go. 11. Here we go.
Lawrence will throw. He wants it all for the end zone. And this is taken in for a Washington touchdown. DJ Moore, 41 yards. And the Commanders are within an extra point of tying up this ball game.
Well, you know he can be explosive, and he's ultra explosive there on the fly route.
And you know how many times we've talked to coaches and we've had quoted back to us, well, you know something? When you execute really well, it doesn't matter if they know it's coming or not. But sometimes athleticism beats you as well. He just took off and went. Hey, that's almost like one of your Turkey Bowl games, isn't it? Just go long, man. I'll hit you. And it worked really well for them.
This one tied at 14 now as he sends this one away. And makes it across the 20 as his guys will set up shop at the 23-yard line.
Yellow.
The Bears offense ready to go for their next drive. Tie ball game, still a little more than a minute to go in the half. The question, can they put something together here, trying to take that lead in the intermission?
I would have to think that would be the goal for sure. I don't think you sit on anything here. Here's your opportunity. Push it downfield. As you mentioned, it's a tie game. So minus a disaster on your part, you've got that in your back pocket. Go ahead and try and get some points and feel great going into the half.
And a 5-yard gain gets him to the 42.
Consecutive positive runs for him on the last 2 snaps. He certainly appears to be trying to put the offense on his back and just move them down the field when his number is called. The way he's running it,
I keep going back to him.
And he's able to get this one out closer to midfield across the 45. Calling the gain of 4 there, so it sets up a big play here. 3rd and a yard.
On any running play that's called, they're always hoping that it's going to break big and go the distance. But when you get a nice game like that, you're able to do so many things anyway. You can come back and run essentially the same play again, continue to move the ball on the ground, or you can decide to throw the ball now because usually you have the defense back on its heels.
Mahomes can't get away, and down he goes. Now a timeout taken. Perhaps a chance for one more quick play and then another timeout if they hurry. We'll see. And they're going to at least line up to go for it here on fourth down. They're indeed going for it as they look to throw. And it's incomplete. They cannot convert, and they turn it over. Boy, a real head-scratcher there. And Washington will take control of the football in great field position. And this will split the uprights. It's right down the middle. Time for a break. We've hit halftime. 2 quarters down. 2 still remain. We step aside. This is the NFL on EA Sports. And we welcome you back live now inside the booth alongside Charles Davis. I'm Brandon Gaudin, set and ready to rock for the third quarter. A field goal, the difference.
It's very challenging. So I think Nico Collins to me is the guy that I like a lot, and I have 55% rushing cluster, which is cheap. But the fact that he's going as high as he is right now with the other weapons down is a bit concerning for me. And so when I look at the projections, we separate, wide receiver 20 through wide receiver 33 by as much as like 12 fantasy points. So this is a very tight tier, and so anything can happen. But Collins, for me, is nowhere near where he's at in the average draft position. He leaves there anything worse than just like flooding.
Trailing and looking for a little momentum.
Yeah, you're right about that because, let's face it, in the first half, most of the focus was in the passing game. And to their credit, resulted in the amount of yardage. So I would think that
These white standards are crazy because the next year we go. Drafted Nico Collins and Tank Dell, almost the same exact grades, 8%, 5% is Ron Diggs. Diggs is the guy that I like the least. One beat but they're just so expensive that it's really tough to get in the next offense that I also think it was people want this now.
Good yardage there on first down, exactly what you want.
Like Ravens and
set up to keep making first downs, keep the clock running.
Raven and Texan is inflated a little bit because people are chasing that week 17 games now. So we're being exposed to Dell and Diggs just because we know they're all good players, but it's really tough for me to say that he's super in on any price. And that's what it is, it's the price, right? And it's when I say all these guys at the top are in grades in the position, you're going against them, it's like 45, just not even at their own positions. And so it's just too expensive for me with the potential outcome of all of these guys who finish lower than 8 because they all coexist together, as well as a pass catching running back. And so there's some concern for me when it comes to the numbers. I think all these guys are talented. That's the next year. Like you said, 70% is perfect. You have to have ownership because you need to buy them. And you want to at least have a sweat come week 17 when this game is going to probably blow up if everyone stay healthy. And so it's just one of those things that you have to buy it at some point because if you don't, you're going to be by that. But it's also the cost value perception what you're going to get from it in the end versus the price. So it's a tough decision. They're getting super in the weeds here. We're like disrespect two of these guys. We're all friends. Nico and James are all friends. Tank, they're all friends. Nico and Tank. Just kind of, in a world where I've done this, I grab two of these receivers. Then if the third ends up getting injured, let's say I drive Nico and Tank, and then Diggs goes out with an injury, then we're looking at two guys who realistically could be down 12 in their position. So my big stretch last year, of course, people want to set yourself up for that high range of offense, and you can do that by kind of double dipping on two of these three guys. And she shows some excellent I want to add context to what you were saying there, Dave, right? Because you said you'll draft an Nico Collins and take down. That is true. That is a big tournament like basketball, not for a reason. It's not always make that distinction here. People are watching and refereeing good fantasy leagues. Theo, out of these three receivers here, when it comes to fantasy managers, again, the redraft leagues, who they should be targeting, is there a guy that really stands out to you that you look at these three and say, you know what, he's going to be my favorite in drafts if he's still in this price?
For me, it's Tank Dell, because I think Tank Dell last year, it's like sort of people are kind of forgetting just how impactful he was with his spike week potential with C.J. Stroud. And rookie spike average 15 points a game, like, they grow on trees. And I think a lot of the Tank Dell being pushed down low wide receiver plan is going to create like an opportunity where he can sort of meet expectations. Whereas Nico Collins would be the one that I would bet to lead this receiving room in fantasy production. But like Billy said, it's purgatory value. Like you're having to take Nico Collins like as wide receiver 14. There's a lot of guys around him that I think could potentially be big winners. But when I'm looking at Tank Dell, it's just an easier click when it's like Tank Dell versus T. Higgins, Tank Dell versus Amari Cooper, than versus some of the guys where Nico Collins at. And I think it's interesting, Alfredo, if you bring up sort of, and we're only talking about baseball values, but sort of the gap between Collins and Dell is even larger when you look at something like FFPC and FC, where a guy like Nico Collins is going in some round of FFPC drafts. Tank Dell, I dropped him late fifth the other day. Diggs is going around that like 2-3 turn area, so he's still quite expensive. Or excuse me, that 3-4 turn area. So he's still quite expensive. But Dell's sort of waiting in the weeds. This is a guy that has great chemistry with C.J. Stroud, and I feel like he's sort of a unique skill set versus the other two. A little bit smaller receiver, and certainly very explosive. I mean, how many top 5 weeks did he have last year? And I think if he would have just not gotten injured, Nico Collins would not have finished as a wide receiver 1 last year. I think Dell was on that week, so I'll take the chance.
Yeah, and right now, Dell's been 3 so he's
It's a balancing act, isn't it? Because you're exactly right. They're 1-2 plays and they didn't punch it in for 6 points. But they also have to remember they did put points on the board.
Yeah, I think that what we will see is against those home league redraft leagues, there's a lot of people that are familiar with Stephon Diggs and what he's been able to do in the past, and Nico Collins getting the big breakout, and a lot of people say, was Tank Dell hurt? Yeah, isn't he like 175 pounds? No, I'm going to avoid him, and I think that we will see a little bit of that discount in those home leagues. Now, before we move on to our next position group here, I want to remind everybody there's no looking for the show, whether that's here on YouTube, youtube.com/@FootballGuysFantasy. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Drop a comment down below. Share this video with your friends. We're still quite a bit of ways from actual fantasy football, so you're not even sharing too much in terms of strategy. And then if you just want to listen on audio, you can subscribe to Apple or Spotify, please. Just take a listen to this episode. If you really get leave a 5-star review, tell us what you like, maybe what you want to see more of in the future, and we'll be sure to take that into consideration. Alright, gentlemen, we're going to take a look at the next team here, which, you know, I said the last group was probably the best group of receivers, and this might be the most unknown, or the most exciting, because I think there's so, we know so little about this group. We just know this capacity with a good quarterback that would break out last year, and it's the Packers wide receiver with Jaden Reed at wide receiver 34, Christian Watson going as wide receiver 46, Romeo Doubs going as wide receiver 52, and Dontavian Wicks all the way down to wide receiver 59. So, we see this all the time. We've got a good passing offense, a good quarterback, and a bunch of talented guys, and none of them are being drafted in the top 30 of their position. I'm so curious as to why this is and where we see the value in it. So, Billy, I want to throw this to you. I mean, is the highest return on draft investment out of this group, is it Christian Watson or is it someone else?
I think the highest return could potentially be Christian Watson, because if you look at, touchdowns, we do limited sample sizes, being on the field, and just, you never know that he's going to go. It's an amazing year in the offseason. they were able to identify that he had, you know, a mass discrepancy between the two hamstrings, which was causing his other hamstring to consistently be pulled. And so he was able to address that. He got a sub 10% discrepancy. I think it's an 8 or 9, a 6 or 7. We'll see what it does for his gameplay, but he's mostly healthy. I think this is the clear number one in the offense, but it's a big if. We have yet to see that happen in his short career. Jaden Reed, to me, is pretty clearly the number one in the meantime. He's been the target monster. He's been very efficient in the red zone as well. And so I have him as my wide receiver 30, actually. I then have Watson and then Romeo. Which to me is kind of the as high in Wicks as it seems to be his drafters and right receiver. To me, he's you're talking about wide receiver 4 now in this offense. Not to mention that you had tight ends last year that were hurt. Musgrave was hurt. You know, Kraft was so there was a lot of opportunities for Wicks to step in and be involved. He took every opportunity and ran with it. But if you have a healthy Reed, a healthy Dukes, you know, a healthy Watson, a healthy Musgrave, and Kraft back on the field, it's going to be an uphill battle for Wicks just to see the field. I mean, wide receiver set, so somebody's gonna have to come off here, and I don't necessarily think that Wicks is gonna be as involved in either. So I think Wicks is being overdrafted, and I think he's mispriced in draft rooms, and I do think it's pretty much between Watson and Reed to lead this receiving core. I think Wicks is just like perfect. He's got these big runs, but then everybody sort of thrown that door, reaching down, and almost did it from that. It's really drafted. Katie Wicks did it from that. Considered with a lot of picks early in the offseason, but his price now is at the $1 to Steve. I agree. Christian Watson is the guy here. A lot of times you see this in these ambiguous situations where a bunch of holes on Twitter yesterday kind of this is going to take away the teammate situation. We're going to be talking about it. It seemed like it was always the most expensive, the cheapest guy by Christian Watson, the mid-price guy. This group is the one that people see for the most. We're getting reports of early camp that he is healthy and looks good. His hamstring problems are behind him. He gave his eyes into a bunch of last week. I'm restricted way before them, but when Jaden Reed, Dubs, and Christian Watson were all healthy, which was a small sample, just 50 snaps. Christian Watson led in first reads, he led in targets, he led in receptions, he was getting yards like he is thinking. I don't know crazy is that you can make it this far into your professional sports career without knowing that your hamstring or ace is like I'm a very casual lifter in my gym. Like I know one of my legs is stronger than the other, and I'm trying to balance it out. I don't understand how this guy with all of the things that he can over the doctors, the trainers, all of that, how he can make it into year 3 before figuring that out. That's kind of We'll figure out what's going on there. We'll figure out the issue.
Liam, we'll ask you a question because it really seems to be a conversation. I don't know, since he did this here, Jaden Reed gives you the high floor, whereas Christian Watson gives you the high ceiling. And then with Dobbs and Wicks, you get two guys that have some solid contingency upside. Is that more or less what we're looking at here? Is it that pretty much the cut and dry case for drafters?
I think what's interesting with adding Jaden Reed, he was so good last year, but he only played 56.8% of snaps. He was a low snap player for a guy who got 24% target share and was this productive in the second half of the season. I think that's sort of the outlier here, is can Jaden Reed become more of a snap player, a guy who really doesn't lead the field, because then you're talking about sort of a little bit of an unknown upside. That's sort of like can Matt LaFleur change his ways? I think we all sort of agree the easiest thing here would be if they sort of phase out Romeo Doubs, the guy we are kind of the least excited about. But Romeo Doubs is just a good NFL player that the team kind of trusts, not a guy we never want to use in fantasy. But we saw how impactful he could be last year in the NFL playoffs. So I think the chance of Green Bay getting away from him is sort of like minimal. But I agree with where Billy's at. I think Jaden Reed is appropriately priced guy for a guy that we all think is good. And I actually think that an interesting way to play this on Packers wide receiver room is Christian Watson at wide receiver 46 and Dontavian Wicks at wide receiver 59 as a double tap on the field. I think it's a high QB play. It's sort of almost a handcuffing. But I think we believe in Dontavian Wicks. If Christian Watson goes down, we believe Christian Watson will be really effective in the weeks he's on an NFL field. Now that he's a little healthier, and we certainly look back at his early season where Christian Watson looked like big Tyreek Hill with the ball in his hands, so explosive. So I like the idea of double teaming those two guys. I do think you should have some more daddy, Jane Reed, in your work.
Even though we're talking about wide receivers, let's not forget about Luke Musgrave either. I mean, this is just legit deep. In there, in a very, very small level. I mean, we have the small against teams making plays. They just have such a sloppy wide receiver. This is really being pulled out just the Packers' offense. Going to make a bet, but I saw it take that. Let's point out that one big thing about Luke Musgrave. Luke Musgrave has the same hometown as Billy Buzio, which is good. The Packers immediately one up spot in 10 rating. So this is the issue.
Again, it's Lawrence.
So they got running an hour with the Packers. We're going to stay within that division. We're going to talk about the Bears wide receiver group here because this is one that it's pretty exciting. We have DJ Moore, who has been the wide receiver one there for a little bit of time. Keenan Allen, who is now coming from being the wide receiver one for the Chargers. And this could be a very interesting one. He gets to play here as a mentor to someone like Roman Dunze, who, for all intents and purposes, he wide receiver one and a bunch of these other rookie wide receiver classes that we've seen in previous years. So you just got abundance of talent here in Chicago with a rookie quarterback. And so we talk about CJ Stroud staying three wide receivers. Theo, and a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams sustain three receivers, or even give us two fantasy relevant receivers for that matter.
I think he's going to give us two weekly relevant receivers. I think that DJ Moore, priced at wide receiver 20, is actually a really good bargain. We've seen him hit this sort of number multiple times in his career. Last year, finished as wide receiver 6 role. Certainly would be the one we'd probably bet on to have the most receiving production this season. I think Keenan Allen is going to be a kind of a quick start guy, but I do think Roman Dunze, like you said, extremely talented player. He's actually sort of being drafted below some wide receivers who were drafted, 20 spots behind him. And I think what's interesting about Roman Dunze is that it's going to be a second-year type guy where he sort of parallels the CeeDee Lamb rookie season, where CeeDee Lamb was sort of not really necessarily slow played, but was really good in the second half of the year. I'm bullish on Caleb Williams. I think that this is going to be a very good passing offense. I think that they're going to be very productive. Caleb Williams has been a fast starter no matter where he's gone, whether it was big-time high school football player, he started his freshman year on a national powerhouse, big-time, putting Spencer Rattler on the bench at Oklahoma, and USC wins the Heisman his first year there. I think he's an exceptional talent, and I think you'll see that really quickly that he can support multiple guys here. And they're all sort of cheap. Alfredo Lake, based on, Keenan Allen averaged 20 points per game last year. Roman Dunze, a top 10 receiver, and then DJ Moore at wide receiver 20. Unlike what we talked about with Houston, these guys have really steamed up. I think they're all sort of in a range where they can all sort of provide value, and the opportunity cost is not a killer to you. So I'd say DJ Moore have a little bit of all three.
Jay, I'm going to go to you last because I know you have plenty to say about the Bears. So, Billy, I want to hear from you because this is just weird. I mean, without an injury, and we haven't really seen him fall off, it's odd that we see Keenan Allen here all of a sudden wide receiver 33. A lot of it seems to just be where it's going to be, okay, rookie quarterback won't be able to do it. There's three good wide receivers on this team, and Keenan Allen's a year older. But are we wrongfully pushing Keenan Allen down draft boards, or is this where he should be getting drafted?
I think it's about right now, and it's just because of the volume. I mean, let's face it, the Bears have never had a quarterback for 4,000 yards in their franchise history. They've never had a quarterback throw for 30 touchdowns in their franchise history. And you can't lift a Justin Herbert-led offense. He's pretty much done it almost in every single point of his career outside of the injuries in 2023 and then in the down year, 25 touchdowns in 2022, he still threw for 47 yards. So I get Theo's argument about this. Keenan Allen taking some points per game, but you go from one of the pass heaviest offenses in the leagues to members who, sorry, Dave, I know you're a Rams fan, but let's face it, they're a dysfunctional organization, and they have their own problems. It's great they're on the trend up, I should say, but it's not going to be a one-year host. It does take any quarterback to the middle for me, even for love, right? And it takes teams time to give the same thing. Now the offense, we have three new weapons here. I mean, you got to remember this is Eugene personally been here for now a year or two now, and so now you have new offenses, you have new pieces, you have all these things coming together. It's going to take time for them all to kind of mesh and gel. And so I think that we're looking at some miscues in the beginning. I think we're going to have some misfires, and I think we're going to have some learning opportunities. And I know we're going to have we don't quite have the projection of those yards, and I don't have any 3 touchdowns. So I think they're all kind of priced appropriately right now. And I think there's upside. Don't get me wrong, but I have some doubts. Dave, finish us off here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, DJ Moore is the guy that I want to draft here. There's only 2 Bears players that I'm overweight on this year, and it's DJ Moore and Caleb Williams. And the reason I like Caleb Williams, we talked about it a bunch this offseason, I think he's very underrated as a rusher, and I think that a lot of people aren't factoring that into his production for year 1. So I like Caleb Williams, I like DJ Moore, but I'm kind of out on Keenan Allen and Roman Doomsday at the price. And this could be me being one of those guys that I talked about in the last episode, saying, ambiguity scares drafters away. It makes these guys' values. It's me, drafters, that are scared away by ambiguity. I don't know who's going to be on the field for 2 wide receivers. Like, are they going to put Keenan Allen on the bench and have Roman Doomsday out there, or is it going to be flip-flops? I don't know. The one certainty I have is that DJ Moore is not leaving the field. I mean, this guy accounted for almost 40% of the receiving yards last year. He went for, 1,364 yards and a team that passed for just over 3,400. That's absolutely crazy. I mean, he's shown us throughout his years in Carolina. He showed us again last year. He is quarterback proof. He's still young. He's talented. He's going to be on the field for 99% of the snaps, barring injury. So DJ Moore is the guy that I'm in on here. Keenan Allen, Roman Doomsday. It's really tough for me to kind of decide who's going to get the snaps and who's going to get the targets. I think we could see Keenan Allen start the year off hotter. Roman